If you are a mom who has just left a narcissistic relationship and can't stop thinking that you failed your kids and ruined your family, this episode is exactly where you need to be. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. This episode is for the moms who have just left a narcissistic relationship and are stuck under this weight of feeling like they've ruined their family, feeling like they've traumatized their kids, second guessing their decision because they feel like they are hurting their children by taking them away from their father. This episode is for you, and not the version of you that pretends to have it all together. This is for the version of you that cried in the parking lot after drop off. This is for the version of you that second guesses yourself a million times a day. The one who is somehow the most capable woman that walks into a room and yet is completely convinced that she has failed the people that she loves the most. As a mom myself, I have a newfound level of empathy for what you are going through. So I need you to stay with me today, because in this episode, you are really going to understand why your mind won't stop second guessing your decision to leave. You're going to understand the real reason that you feel like a failure in every single part of your life. And you're going to learn how you can start to move through the guilt and the shame and the grief so that you can stop just surviving this decision and start trusting it. And all of those things are going to help you show up as the mom that I know you want to be. So stay with me. And at the end of the episode, I'll also pull an oracle card. This will offer you a message that you can hold on to as you continue through your journey this week. Okay, so let's take a deep breath and begin. I've worked with so many clients who, first and foremost, have stayed in a narcissistic relationship for years upon years longer than maybe they would have if they didn't have kids, because they have this immense fear that if they leave, they will be the one that destroyed the family. They will be the one that took away this family unit from their kids, who took away this happy childhood. And they really feel like it's a selfish decision, even though another part of them knows that the relationship that they're in is abusive on many levels, or is manipulative, or they've been totally losing their sense of self. They're no longer the person that they are anymore. They know that they are really withering away emotionally, spiritually, physically in this relationship. But there is such a fear of actually leaving and changing the family unit, changing the dynamic, that they stay. So if you've gotten to the place where you have made the decision to leave and you are now in this aftermath of, fuck, I made the wrong decision. My kids are so angry. They're so sad. I totally ruined their life. I made them have to be in two different homes. I made them have to navigate this whole new experience as kids of divorced parents. I see you. And I know that this external situation that you're in right now can really feel like it's proof that you failed instead of proof that you survived. So I really want to normalize what you're feeling and talk about it here. The number one thing that I hear from clients in this situation is feeling like a failure. You likely have spent years trying to fix this thing. You've been trying to fix the relationship. You've been trying to fix him. You've been trying to fix yourself. You have spent an exorbitant amount of energy and time into researching codependency, researching attachment styles, researching narcissistic behaviors, the narcissistic cycle, trying to go to therapy yourself, or maybe go to couples therapy, right? You have been putting in all of this energy into trying to fix what was broken, trying to fix what wasn't working. So likely you're still in this place of fixating on why the research didn't work, why the seeking information around him and you and your relationship dynamic didn't work. Thinking that maybe if I fixate on it and try to focus on it more, then it will make sense. But it doesn't make sense. I use the word mindfucked very specifically in the way that I talk about these relationships, because confusion, it's just a part of this experience of being in a relationship with a narcissistic person. It is a mindfuck, and it does not make sense why all of your efforts didn't work. But because you're feeling like they didn't work, right? There's this voice in your head, there's this part of you that's like, we're a failure. And I bet that voice is coming out in every single place in your life right now. So maybe you are looking in the mirror and you're only seeing the days that you missed at the gym. Maybe you are snapping at your kid and you yelled at them the way that you swore that you wouldn't, and you are seeing how you're failing as a mother. Maybe you're making breakfast for dinner again because you couldn't get to the store on top of working and taking care of the kids and trying to maintain some sort of normalcy. And you see that as a failure because you didn't cook them this beautifully nutritious meal with all the vegetables. When you get stuck in this feeling of, I failed, there's some amount of panic, of anxiety that is behind that. And it's putting you into the part of the brain that is sensing a threat. Failure in a lot of ways feels like a threat to you, to who you are, to your very fucking identity, because you are able to succeed in so many areas of your life. So when there's a threat to self, we go into more of that survival mind place, and we go into black and white thinking, and we go into rumination, and we go into those really ingrained patterns in our brain. Feeling like a failure is a really tender wound for a lot of my clients, and it is for me too. I know for me, when I feel like I'm failing somewhere, the failure part of me that really believes that we are just sucking at everything, she will take the steering wheel of our life bus and she will drive us to every failure town that we've got. We're failing with our body. We're failing with our kids. We're failing with work, right? We're just one big failure. And it's like that part of you is looking to your external environment to confirm this internal fear that you have that you're a failure. And that is a really tough spiral to come out of. On top of feeling like a failure, guilt is there, always with these clients of mine who have left with kids, because they can give me a laundry list of reasons why this relationship was toxic, abusive, painful, life-sucking, all of the reasons why they chose to leave. Yet they have a part of them that feels so guilty that they made the selfish decision to take the kids away from their dad, to change their lifestyle, to change their circumstance. And because of the guilt, they start ruminating about, was this the right decision to leave? So you might be in this place too, where you're really watching yourself. Like, it takes total preoccupation of your mind. You go into these, well, what ifs? Did I overreact? Has he actually changed? Was it my fault? Did I not give him enough time to show me that he was actually going to change? Was it my fault that I actually can't receive love in the way that he was trying to give me love? Should I have just continued to suffer? Was I actually suffering, or was I making that bigger than it actually was? Was the suffering worth giving my kids a home that isn't broken? And on and on and on and on and on. This second guessing is also super consuming. So feeling like a failure, if that's not consuming enough, second guessing is just absolutely draining your energy stores that you were trying to regain back from leaving this relationship. Indecision is one of our biggest emotional drains. And I need you to hear that super clearly, because when we are in this place of ping-ponging back and forth, we are extending so much energy, not just literally in our brain, but the preoccupation that it takes you away from your kids, takes you away from your work, and it continues to whittle away your self-trust. So it's a very expensive place to be. This indecision will also likely keep you staying in contact with the kid's father in more of an emotionally charged way than really beginning to set the boundaries around, how do I start to gray rock with him, or how do I communicate through the parenting app, or how do I take steps to protect myself? I had a beautiful client named Abby, and I'm going to link her episode here because she did a whole episode talking about her story. But she was really stuck in this place of, I know I need to leave, and I have this deep underlying fear of breaking up what I thought this family was going to be. I wanted the biological father to be in the same house as his children, and I wanted us to be a happy family. And that was a fear that was really deep down within her. So she found herself still keeping herself really emotionally available to him, even though they had separated physically. She was still in this place of communicating with him, of wanting to get him to see what he actually did and wanting to get him to take that accountability so that it could confirm that he was maybe a good person and a good dad and that it could actually work. She was really putting a lot of hope into each conversation with him that he would finally show up as the dad that she wanted him to be, and she could have some evidence that either she made the right decision or she didn't, and she could get out of that indecision place. She was getting so re-wounded by him every single time she got that message back that was not the one that she wanted. She experienced through our coaching what it was like to shore up that energy and to protect herself from what he was unable to provide so that she can begin healing. So she's still co-parenting with him, but she's no longer in this energetic exchange of, you have access to my emotions. We did so much work around this guilt that she was feeling, this feeling of failure that she was feeling, the shame that she was feeling, so that she was able to show up in a detached way, even though she had to maintain contact for the kids. But that second guessing, indecision place is so, so, so painful, especially when you maybe have a child who is acting out because of the separation or the divorce. I have another client that comes to mind here who her daughter was really taking out all of her anger on my client. She was preteen and just in the midst of all of the things that could be happening within her body to make this separation feel extra unmanageable. And she was taking all of her anger out on my client. And my client was like, I can't fucking take this. I absolutely made the wrong decision. I ruined her life. I ruined our relationship. She now hates me and sees me as the villain, which is also very common in these situations where the narcissistic partner, the father in this case, is giving information to the child that's not true. And she was just beside herself of, my God, I feel like a terrible mom. I feel like a bad person. And that guilt was just consuming her. It was like she was drowning in this guilt. And it took us a lot of time to be able to create the space for her to process through that guilt in a way that wasn't clouding the decision that she knew she made for a reason. So we have feeling like a failure. We have feeling consumed in guilt. And what's the cherry on top of this fucked up sundae? It's feeling shame. It's feeling like you are the only one who is now a single mother. You're looking at your friends and you're like, everybody's married, everybody's starting to have kids, or maybe everyone has adult kids and they're still happily married. This friend group that you're in are in different phases of relationships than you are right now after you have just become a newly single person after years of being married. And so what are you doing? You're most likely avoiding them, right? You're saying no to invitations. Maybe you don't go to the family barbecues anymore. Maybe you don't go to the pool days anymore. Maybe you're not reaching out to your best friends to have them try to help you manage all of this cocktail of emotion because they can't actually understand what you're going through. So you feel isolated. And when you isolate, you get pushed further down into this hole where you're looking up and everybody's walking by living their life. And you're like, hello, somebody help. Somebody see me down here. When we are in isolation, it compounds our pain. It compounds the guilt. It compounds the feeling of failure. It compounds the shame because there's no outside regulation. There's no co-regulation that can happen. And nobody there that can hear your stories, that can help you make sense of your stories and understand them. So we just continue in our brain of, this is true for me because these parts of me are making me feel like this is so capital T true for me. So if this is you, if you are ruminating and if you are second guessing your decision to leave and you're feeling like a failure and you're feeling the guilt and the shame and you're trying to desperately make anything make sense so that you can validate that you made the right decision and you're not a bad person and you haven't failed your family, I see you. I see you, I see you, I see you. And what I first want you to know is that you can't judge yourself into trusting yourself. when you are judging yourself. It is a part of you that is coming forward that is stuck in some sort of fear. When we're stuck in fear, it actually turns off the rational brain and the emotional brain and puts all of your energy into your survival place. So your body is sensing a threat. When you're in that activated place, your body is defaulting to rumination, to black and white thinking, and to your most well-grooved beliefs, because that is the most energy efficient place to be when you're in survival. So when you're in the threat of self-judgment, you actually cannot access your self-trust. You can't access your understanding, your compassion, your curiosity. All your body is sensing is danger, danger. We fucked everything up. And you're going into this panicky spiral. The second thing that I want you to know is that when you make the decision to leave, you are letting go of the hope that it's going to get better. You're stepping out of potential land. Potential land is likely where you stayed for a long time in the hopes that his potential would come to be, the potential of the relationship would work out, things would get better, right? You lived in this, well, maybe if I do this or he does this, then we can finally have this. When you leave a relationship, you close that door to potential land. And when you close the door on something that you hoped would come to fruition, there is grief there. There is grief waiting on the other side. So not only do you have these feelings of grief that are trying to surface, but they're on top of the feelings of failure, of feelings of guilt, and the feelings of shame. So you are within this ocean of turbulent waves and storm with all of these emotions that are just smacking you in the face. And it's like you're trying to hang on in the middle of the ocean to this little tiny life raft, right? I call this the analytical buoy. You're seeking for the understanding of why this makes sense. You're trying to analyze, why do I feel this way? Did I make the right decision? You're stuck in the thinking brain, even though your thinking brain is turned off because you're in the survival place. So that's why it feels like you are just clinging to like a tiny little buoy to try to keep you alive in the middle of this turbulent ocean, the storm that you're in. So what you need is not more thinking. What you need is a way that you can let go of the buoy. You can find the safety within your body to move down into the depths of what you're feeling so that you can then find absolute clarity and confidence around your decision. When you do that, when you have the tool that allows you to go under the water into the emotions so that you can get out of that survival threat state, so you can open up access to your rational brain, your emotional brain, you can start processing the emotions, you can start making sense of what's happening, you can bring that sense of self-trust back online. That is what you do so that you never have to second guess your decision again. You never have to feel like you failed your family again, because there is absolute certainty of why you left and how this is going to impact the kids beneficially long term. This is the piece that has likely been missing if you have been trying to do other types of work around this. Because if you're taking in the podcast information and reading the books and even doing talk therapy, right, where you're just sort of stuck in this thinking about, talking about, thinking about, talking about, it's keeping you clinging to the analytical buoy. Your body is not feeling safe to allow you into these other places. It's actually going to give you the clarity and then therefore the relief that you want. So that is why the nervous system regulation piece to take you out of the threat brain is foundational in the work that I do with clients. We have to bring safety to the body so that we can open up access to these other places so that you're not stuck on the buoy. I want you to be able to move down into your feelings and get really skilled at feeling what's there, getting skilled at feeling grief, at feeling guilt, at feeling like a failure, and letting those parts of you come up and express without derailing your entire day or week or month or year. Clients of mine who they learn the skill of processing their emotion in the moment, of re-regulating their nervous system in the moment, so that they can ride these waves of emotion within minutes. It is magical once you have the right tool to use. And I know with 1000% certainty that you want to be the best mom that you can be. So I say this with so much love, but staying stuck in the failure mindset, staying stuck in the self-judgment and being consumed with the guilt and shame, that is just taking your precious energy and time away from being with your kids and your capacity away from being the mom that you want to be with them. Parenting is hard sometimes, and we need every single ounce of self energy that we can muster to be able to show up non reactive to our kids and to support them. And I know you want to be a good model for your kids. So, learning how to regulate your nervous system, learning how to name emotions, process emotions, let them come out and through instead of staying stuck and taking over yourself, those are skills that your kids are going to benefit from. So as you do this work, you are practicing and they are learning by seeing, which is the way that kids learn, right? They don't hear what we say to them. They see what we do. And so if you are saying all feelings are valid and I'm here for you and your sadness is okay, but you're pushing away your sadness, that's going to contradict what they're seeing in you. And so to be the role model that you want to be for your kids sometimes takes us taking this really courageous step and saying, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to actually hold all of these different emotions and process and let myself feel safe enough in that. And I need support. Asking for support is always the most courageous thing we can do. So if you're in that place, please know that I am here for you. And I specialize in working with women who are in this exact same place, who are trying to manage all of the feelings and the aftermath of leaving a narcissistic cycle and really rebuilding themselves after that. I offer a free intro session to anybody who is interested in learning more about my program, learning more about how I can support you. And it's a time where I really get to understand you specifically, where you are, what you're struggling with, and let you know how I can help. That link is in the show notes. Before I pull an oracle card, the one last thing that I want to leave you with is a reminder that you didn't make this decision overnight. This was not an impromptu, fuck you, I'm divorcing you decision. You likely spent years thinking about this decision. And so trust the amount of time and the amount of data that you put into making this decision. That is a really important piece. Okay, so now let's pull an oracle card. And it came out super quick. Let's see, it is the frog. Let me find the frog in the book and I will read to you what it says. Frog visits you with a message to trust your intellect. He is an ancient knower and deeply sensitive to his environment. What you are thinking, experiencing, and knowing is not to be minimized or ignored. Write it down. Keep a journal. Gather your data. Trust your thinking. Don't let other people tell you what you know. Your knowledge and contribution are what is needed now. Now is not the time to hold back your thoughts. The answers you possess could shift your ecosystem in positive and remarkable ways. Trust your knowing. Trust your knowing. And if that feels really far away, please schedule your intro session because your knowing is in there. She is in there and she is waiting for you to come to her. I can promise you that she is wanting to be found and is findable. So until I see you in that intro session or I see you in the next episode, please remember that you are a wonderful mom and you are not alone.